The Vikings offseason might be the most interesting offseason of any NFL team this year. This is Couch Football, of course, recording in the offseason, and the offseason has been interesting to say the least. Of course, in the NFL, we have Myles Garrett getting traded. Like, who could have even predicted something crazy like that to actually happen? And now, when it comes to the Vikings, we have the quarterback battle. Of course, JJ McCarthy and Kyler Murray battling it out. Who is going to become the starter? That's the big question, of course. And it was really spicy early on. I mean, when JJ McCarthy was asked about the whole quarterback battle situation, he said basically that it was strictly professional. It's like two guys in a classroom, one on either side, and it's up to the teacher to teach them how to play. It's not necessarily what you would expect to hear from a quarterback. Typically, it's like, oh, if they need help, I'll always offer. We're on the same team type of feel, type of situation. I feel like on the inside, everybody kind of thinks the way that McCarthy just stated, but nobody wants to actually say it. Like, if you're competing against somebody, you don't want to help them out. You want to compete against them. But, of course, Kyler Murray, being more of the veteran and professional, responded by saying that he's basically willing to help. They're on the same team. McCarthy and Murray are together, trying to figure it out on the fly. They got to teach each other. And Murray's behind, basically. He also did note that it was difficult because he had to split reps with McCarthy, which was a bit of a questionable answer in a way, just because, of course, we know Murray is behind. He just got to Minnesota, and Kevin O'Connell has a extremely complex offensive scheme. So it's difficult, of course, if you're not getting full reps in the offseason, but it almost just increases that sour tone in between Murray and McCarthy, and that really can cause a divide within the locker room. And I'm, of course, intrigued to see what happens because I'm a huge Vikings fan, and this whole situation could seriously make or break this team. Like, what if McCarthy and Murray divide the locker room and all of a sudden we suck, and then O'Connell gets fired? It could just be a huge chain of events that happen because of the quarterback battle. I think O'Connell needs to make a decision as soon as possible so that the team can really rally around the starting quarterback and just go with the flow. Don't wait until just before the season because the ripple can really start to rip through the team the longer you wait. Now, when it comes to actually on the field, at camp, we have seen Kyler Murray struggling to start. Of course, a lot of Vikings fans don't like to hear that. Kyler Murray is supposed to be the guy that comes in and saves us, just like Sam Darnold did just a couple years ago. But Murray doesn't really know the offense, like I said. He's really struggling to adapt early on, which is not a surprise necessarily. But Kyler Murray is uber talented, and he's expected to figure it out as the veteran. And we've seen back-to-back interceptions in camp from Kyler Murray. One of them, I believe, I don't think it was both of them. One of them was to one of his former teammates in Arizona, being Byron Murphy. So that was kind of an interesting little note because, of course, they have history going back to Arizona. And he also threw an interception the next day on day 2 of minicamp. But the thing is, it's minicamp. You might as well be aggressive and try to fit the ball in tighter windows than you might normally do in a real game. But it's a little discouraging if you're a fan, of course, because as fans, we want to be excited. And it's, of course, really discouraging to see the struggles in camp right away. And you're just like, oh, this is going to be another Minnesota 7-win season, basically, which certainly could happen. But us fans, we expect a winning season. We expect a successful season, especially since Kyler Murray is such a talented quarterback. If he can just stay healthy and figure out this offense, he could be one of, let's say, top 12 quarterbacks in the NFL next year. It's reasonable, I would say. Now, when it comes to JJ McCarthy, if he starts, what is that going to look like for this Minnesota team? Because we've seen him play, and he struggled mightily it wasn't just him. The offensive line was banged up, and there were many factors last season, but McCarthy didn't look like a franchise quarterback. He just didn't. Can he take that next step in one offseason, and do we have the patience for him? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. And I think Kyler Murray has much more potential than J.J. McCarthy, especially in the long term. And that hurts saying because I bought a McCarthy jersey as soon as he was drafted, and nobody wants him to succeed more than I do, except for maybe Kevin O'Connell to prove a point. But it's sad to see, but likely going to be the truth that McCarthy's tenure with the Vikings is just kind of disappointing and sad. Justin Jefferson even weighed in on this whole situation, mainly talking about Kyler Murray and his kind of struggling start a little bit to minicamp. And he basically said that it's understandable because this offense is so complex and difficult that it's going to be difficult to process things as fast as it needs to be in the NFL, but it will get to a point where he knows it very well, and then the processing speed will increase, of course. Your confidence will go up, and seeing different coverages will be a lot easier when it comes to understanding how coverages affect this new scheme that Murray is in. So Jefferson was fairly understandable when it comes to the struggles. Of course, he's a veteran. He's a captain, a leader. He's going to say the right things regardless. But I'm sure he secretly wants Murray to become the starter because he's so talented. And he was so amazing with DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona for that season or two. So my guess is Jefferson does secretly want Kyler Murray to start. But I have heard things saying that McCarthy is a great team player, and that can become almost a problem in a way. Of course, it's nice that they like McCarthy and they want him to succeed. It's a great thing. But like I said before, that could really split this locker room and make everything way worse. Now, pivoting away from the whole Murray-McCarthy saga, there's some more notes that we need to discuss before we start training camp. Some more, maybe little notes that might help us Vikings fans understand maybe what this team's going to look like this year. When it came to Caleb Banks, the Vikings' first-round pick, of course, he wasn't able to participate, still recovering from that toe injury. However, regarding his mental, it has been phenomenal, according to Brian Flores. So that's, of course, great to hear because, if you can't participate, you better make sure you're taking mental reps. Of course, that's a big thing in football, mental reps. If you're not on the field, you better be watching and you better be learning so you're ready to go when you're healthy. Of course, Caleb Banks is a phenomenal player. I'm extremely excited. If he can stay healthy and avoid those lower body injuries or just injuries in general, he could be a legit all-pro defensive tackle. We could have gotten a steal. Yeah, we reached on him because it's a little risky with his previous foot injuries. However, if he hits, he will be certainly worth that first-round pick and then some. Sticking to the defensive side of the ball, undrafted rookie Devon Armstead is a name to watch. He had a great play in 7-on-7 where there was a deep pass from Murray to Ty Felton, the third-rounder from last year, and he ran stride for stride and elevated to make an interception. It's a great play in camp. Hopefully, he can become a great cornerback option for the Vikings as maybe, a guy that rotates in if somebody is gassed. We need some extra cornerback depth. Now, moving to the offensive side of things, DeMond Claiborne, one of my favorite picks of the draft for the Vikings, received Jahmyr Gibbs comparisons from Aaron Jones. He would be an incredible running back in that Jahmyr Gibbs role. Maybe not as good as Jahmyr Gibbs, but he was a steal in the 6th round. He's just 5'10", 195, but he is explosive. He can break away with that Jahmyr Gibbs-like speed, and he could be a good receiving back out of the backfield if he can develop his hands. I am excited to see how he does learning behind Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, two completely different running backs. Claiborne can really become a player in this offense. He can carve out a role. With Aaron Jones aging, he only has, I believe, like a year left in his contract. And then Jordan Mason is just a different style of player. He's a bruiser. Claiborne is more of a speedster. That could be a great 1-2 combo for the Vikings in the backfield. There was somebody that did note that Damon Claiborne was like a Diet Coke Devon Achane or Jahmyr Gibbs. But if you really think about it, Diet Coke tastes better than normal Coke. So really, does that mean he's better than Devon Achane and Jahmyr Gibbs? Because to me, that's what I'm referring to, because I love Diet Coke. That was all the notes I had for Vikings minicamp. However, if you have any other Vikings notes, make sure you put it in the comments. And while you're down there, you might as well subscribe to this brand new channel and hit the like button to help promote my channel. It would mean the world to me. But now I'm going to quickly mention the Vikings training camp schedule so that we kind of understand what to expect going forward. Unfortunately, it doesn't start until August 1st. So we've got a while. We've got a month and a half, basically. So unfortunately, not a lot to look forward to during the dead of the off season. I recommend going to the lake as much as possible. That's about it. But starting off with August 1st, which is a Saturday, it is kind of like that back-together weekend that they like to do on NFL Network. And there is kind of like an autograph zone. Guards and centers are first. You guys can find this on the events section in the Vikings website. But outside of that, of course, we've got August 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 11th. Ton of training camp days, of course. The important dates to specifically note would be Sunday, August 9th, which is the night practice, so fans can come watch them practice. And that starts at 7 p.m. at TCO Stadium. And then Wednesday, August 19th is joint practice with the Ravens. And then it's also a joint practice on the 20th with the Ravens, which, of course, those joint practices help a ton to understand maybe more so who's starting or playing quite a bit and kind of what to really expect for the Vikings this season. And then after that, we've got the preseason for 3 weeks, and then we're on to the regular season. I'm really excited. It's going to be a great year. I really do believe that. If Kyler Murray or J.J. McCarthy can take over and become competent starters, it should be a great season because we've got Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, Damon Claiborne in the backfield. Not great, but certainly not the worst backfield in the NFL. Then you have a solid offensive line with Darisaw and O'Neal finally back and healthy. Hopefully Fries can stay healthy at guard, and Donovan Jackson can take a step up after his solid rookie season. And then center is kind of a question mark right now because Ryan Kelly retired due to the concussions last year. And then wide receiver, we've got Jawan Jennings joining Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. It's like the big three from the Warriors with Durant, Thompson, and Curry. We've got 3 really good receivers to throw to. And then also TJ Hawkinson at tight end. So it's a really fun offense. And of course, on defense, it doesn't matter who's running out there. It could be all 11 average Joes, accountants, whoever, any business person. And our defense would be dominant because Brian Flores is such a good defensive coordinator. It's going to be exciting with Caleb Banks, Dallas Turner taking a step up, Andrew Van Ginkel doing his thing. That defensive line should be really good this year. And the secondary, if Harrison Smith comes back, could be really good. But that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this Vikings news update. And I will certainly come back with another Vikings news update after the preseason, probably, to kind of really put everything together for the regular season. Hopefully I can get to other NFL teams for this offseason to kind of give you guys some better previews for this upcoming season. So let me know what team I should talk about next in the comments below. Most liked comment will be my next team that I pick. So make sure you guys go down to the comments and make sure your favorite team is the most liked comment. And like I said in the past, please subscribe. It helps out a ton, of course, because this is a brand new channel. I definitely need the help from you guys to really grow this community. And I love to talk with you guys, so it's a fun time. It's a fun community, and you guys are going to want to join. With that being said, I'm Levi Nordstrom, and this is Couch Football, and I will see you guys in the next episode.